Hey everyone, Suda here, and I have a very special episode for you all today. Today we're going to be talking all about Escape and how to optimize your Mac for the hives to come. As of launch, I've been playing a lot of Escape, and I mean a lot of it. For me, it's the perfect mode if I want to play for a couple minutes. People want to get on. Sometimes I only have 3 people, and it's actually kind of scarily perfect because a lot of the time I always lose a fourth. So Escape has always been the mode that I've been playing. It's the one I've been looking the most forward to because for me, I loved Mass Effect 3 multiplayer and kind of how do you like optimize your character with different skills and cards. And Escape is a really good RPG element, but also you have to be in and out very quickly, and that's great. So today we're going to be talking about one of my characters I've been playing as the most. So today we're going to be talking about how to optimize Mac and how to make him a beast as possible, and how you guys can master a hive and pretty much kick butt as everyone's favorite lovable redhead. So, for people that haven't had a chance to play as Mac yet, you start the game off with a Boltok, and his ultimate is to create a frontal shield. His passive is to take damage to decrease the cooldown of his shield. The great thing about his shield is it blocks incoming fire, and you're able to shoot out of it, including your teammates can do the exact same thing. Though, from my experience, I haven't really found the shield to be super handy, but with this build, there's things that I have used the shield for much better things to optimize my Mac, and it's a great thing to have. But we'll get into it because once I show you this cards and stuff, you'll understand very quickly how I use the shield and why I use the shield in a particular way that I do. So what's the purpose of Mac on the Hivebuster team? His role should be support and more covering fire, though on his slot it says he's supposed to be a heavy, because for me, when I find his abilities are really made for drawing out enemy fire and damage enemies from a distance, especially once you have the bleed card, and you can damage enemies for a long time, and also you can melt boss health really easily with his abilities, and I find him to be a really good character to have in mid to long range rather than having like Alani, which is great for short range, and you have your Keegan, which is a mid range. Mac should always, I think, in my opinion, be more utilized for the longer ranges, and we'll get into it why I think that. Now let's get into the cards that I use and why I use them. Like I said, Mac is a good heavy hitter in support, so in my build it's going to reflect kind of my mentality of him being a longer distance character, because for him, he's more of a stay back and also do a bunch of bleed damage because you can do damage over time. So my motto for Mac is, let him bleed. So as you can see, my cards are all maxed out a bit. It still works perfectly with lower levels or if you've just gotten the cards. So my main card you should use is Bloodshot. Shooting an enemy with an active pistol bullet causes bleeding damage. This will be your main card. So basically what the Boltok can do is when you active it, you can cause a bleed effect, so it's damage over time, dot damage, whatever you want to call it, DPS. But pretty much what it does is you shoot someone, and after a while they start taking more damage. The great thing about this card, as well as you have already started off with like a pocket sniper rifle / boss killer, is that it stacks. So the more you shoot someone with your revolver, the more damage over time they're going to have, to the point of where if you shoot a warden in the head with your entire bullets, you can kill that warden so easily, you just have to run away and eventually the bleed damage will kill him. So for me, I like to hold as many Boltok bullets as possible and use this ability just in case, or even have supporting fire. What I like to do is active my Boltok, and when you're in rooms with massive amounts of enemies, you just shoot one at a time, doesn't matter if it's a headshot, body shot, they'll start damaging and slowly but surely be dying. I know there's a mutator that they regenerate their health, but the great thing about this is that it's still damage that's being incurred, so if your teammates are shooting those enemies, they will die. The great thing is if you down someone, the bleed still happens, so if the enemy is down, they can also die from the bleed effect. This ability is perfect for bosses, and especially Scions, because Scions are just giant slabs of meat, so the more you shoot them, the faster they'll die, especially if they're trying to corner a teammate and you can get off those shots. It is perfect for like just melting those enemies, and it should be your main ability. I feel like this might be changed, so use it right now while you can, because I think it might get nerfed because it is insane how great this effect is. So the second card I like to use is Boltok Bandolier. Without the card, you start off with very limited ammo. With this, you start off with pretty much 20 shots of Boltok, so you have a good chance, a very good breathing room. Say if you're being attacked by, not the rejects, because rejects are easy to deal with, but if you have your hunters, your drones, and everything in between, you can get rid of those. Though I like to save that for the boss fights, especially for the Scions and the Warden and the Flock. This is like the great type of early game stuff. Like for me, when I start off, I try to like knife all the enemies and then pick up a Hammer Burst, Nasher, Marksa, Longshot, and then just save the Boltuck for a last-ditch effort, though I like to call my Boltuck Old Faithful. I also use Crazy Tough because what that ability does is you just get stronger so you can take more bullets, and it's great because you can stick out of cover. Your passive pretty much is the more you take damage, it will decrease your shield time, so that's great, but also being able to be out of cover more and line up your shots if you want to get headshots, because headshots in this game are massive. They do massive damage, especially with the Boltuck and also bleed. You are going to be melting enemies like butter, and it is great. And with this ability here, what I like about it is that you can also pick up teammates, you can be meleeed and stuff, and you won't get one shot down. The only thing I've had a problem with is shock grenades. Otherwise, things are good, things are great, and I recommend this one, especially for when you're playing on higher difficulties where you need to have that extra health. It's a wonderful ability to have. Now, the next card that I use, I think this is more of like an optional thing. I use Heads Up because on higher levels, your teammates can down you with friendly fire. Pretty much all this does is you can take more friendly fire damage. Normally, I like to have this on when I'm playing with randoms because I've been shot more in the butt by randoms than the actual swarm. Though it's more optional, you can also use increased shield capacity. I also like to use, for me personally, your shield can actually damage enemies. That's a really good one to have as well. I recommend that one. It all depends on how you want to use your shield, but for me, when I use my shield, it's more of a distraction tool and also lining up shots with more of the boss enemies, though keep in mind, you can shoot bullets, but the swarm, if they hit you in the face with a fist, it's going right through the shield, so be prepared to be stunned. It doesn't prevent being punched in the face. Trust me from experience, I was shocked, as you guys probably will be. Lastly, I've been using In Your Face. When you headshot an enemy, they'll be stunned, they'll perform like a taunt. The more you upgrade it, the longer it will be. This is a really good perk to have, especially for two things. One, you can line up those headshots again with your Boltuck, even if it's active. That's great, but also being able to taunt means the enemy won't be firing at you. Thus, your teammates, if you miss, can shoot that enemy. And this goes back to the long range thing where even if you don't have a Boltuck, it still applies with the Marksa, as well as the Hammer Burst, as well as the Longshot. So you can stun the enemy, Lonnie can execute it, get some pilfer up, Keegan can spot the enemy, pretty much you can get your cooldown. Also, it gives you breathing room, which is a really good thing to have, especially when you're being overrun. It's also really helpful when you have your bleed, you get your headshot, you stun the enemy, and you shoot them again. It's A-okay, and I really recommend it. So for me, the preferred weapon I like to use for Mac is the Hammer Burst, and either between the Longshot or the Markshot, depending on which one you pick up. You can still get your headshot stuns. You have a great medium combat range and also long combat range. You already spawned with the Boltuck, so pretty much the only thing you really have to worry about is running out of ammo. You just have to find ammo lockers. Keegan has this ability, so you can get some more depending on how you have your Keegan optimized. And really when it comes to Mac, like I said before, his shield's really good at drawing fire away, so you can distract the enemies while your team flanks and gets more heavy kills. I recommend that a lot. For me, I think Mac should primarily be the boss killer. If he's not there, Lonnie is a really good one with her special ability. But for me, I like having Mac as the boss killer from a longer range because you can deal with Wardens, you can deal with Flock, you can deal with Scions very, very, very easily. The only things you have to worry about is snipers, and you have to also worry about Sires because Sires will mess up your day very, very hard. The only issue that I've been having with Mac is really just nailing those reloads under pressure because how they have active reloads is a little different from past Gears games, though the great thing about this is that you can just re-roll your actives, so you'll always be guaranteed actives. Sometimes I jam, sometimes I don't. Other than that, Mac has been a really great character. Well guys, I hope to see your Mac kicking butt on the battlefield soon, taking swarm names, busting hives. You know, busted makes me feel good. Hopefully someone's used that before, because that's what I'm using now. Yes. Well, thank you guys for watching another amazing episode. I plan on having more of them on kind of breaking down what I use for other Hive characters, as well as kind of like what I use for Escape. It's really fun. I really like it. For me, it reminds me a lot of Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. And when we get into the nitty-gritty, I think once they add more characters, it'll be interesting, more dynamics, because right now, the 3 Hive Busters really work. The DLC characters I haven't really had a chance to play as. I played a little bit of Sarah Connor, and we'll do a video about it possibly later, but for the most part, I've been playing a lot as Mac and a lot of Keegan, so we'll talk about this later. If you guys like this, Do you guys have different versions of your Mac? I'd love to hear it in the comments below. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe there's always different varieties, especially how the cards work together and how the teams work together. Maybe that might work. If you guys like this episode, please subscribe. I'd love that. Maybe like this episode. Maybe if your friends are having trouble, maybe share it with them. They'll help them with escape and it'll be great. Well guys, I'm Suda, and let's keep those gears turning. See ya!